Chapter 1 The Revelation as Treaty Law of Awake to Our Situation, a Call to the Remnant of the Restoration. Written by Mark Tyson, Trent, Lichtenwalter. Chapter 1 The Revelation as Treaty Law. The Nouveau Temple Revelation must be read as a covenant document, or it cannot be read correctly at all. Modern readers approach the text devotionally. The original audience heard it legally. Page 29. The difference between those two approaches determines everything that follows. If the revelation is devotional language, it inspires reflection. If it is covenant language, it binds a people to measurable conditions. Scripture consistently treats divine covenants as enforceable agreements, not symbolic encouragements. The revelation recorded in Doctrine and Covenants, section 124, belongs to the legal tradition of covenant treaty language found throughout the Hebrew Scriptures. Page 30. Its structure mirrors the pattern established in ancient Israel. Command, condition, promise, deadline, consequence. That pattern is not accidental. It is the grammar of covenant. The chapter begins with command. Build a house to my name, for the Most High to dwell therein. Doctrine and Covenants 124:27. This is not invitation. It is instruction. Page 31. The text does not say consider building, or prepare to build. It commands construction as a prerequisite for divine action. The purpose of the structure is explicitly defined. For there is not a place found on earth that he may come to, and restore again that which was lost unto you, even the fullness of the priesthood. Doctrine and Covenants 124:28. The grammar demands attention. Page 32. The speaker distinguishes between himself and he. Christ speaks of another figure, identified as the Most High, who must come personally to perform the restoration. The restoration is described as future. It is not presented as already accomplished. The revelation states plainly that there is no place on earth where this restoration can occur until the commanded house exists. Page 33. This establishes the central logic of the covenant. The building is the condition upon which the restoration depends. Covenant language in Scripture always binds divine promise to human obedience. The same structure appears in the law of Moses. If ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. Exodus 19:5. Page 34. Blessing follows obedience. Absence of obedience suspends blessing. This is not punishment language. It is legal structure. Divine promise is conditional upon compliance with terms. The Nouveau Revelation intensifies the pattern by attaching a deadline. After issuing the command and describing the promised restoration, the text announces consequence. Page 35. If you do not these things at the end of the appointment, ye shall be rejected as a church, with your dead. Doctrine and Covenants 124:32. The phrase, end of the appointment, is legal terminology. It describes a fixed period of compliance. The covenant does not extend indefinitely. It contains a measurable boundary. Page 36. When that boundary is crossed, judgment activates automatically. The revelation does not say rejection may occur. It says rejection shall occur. The severity of the language matches covenant curses in Deuteronomy. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, that all these curses shall come upon thee. Deuteronomy 28:15. Page 37. Scripture does not soften covenant consequence. It states it plainly. The Nouveau text stands in the same tradition. Acceptance and rejection are not emotional states. They are covenant verdicts. The revelation continues. And your baptisms for your dead shall not be acceptable unto me, and if you do not these things ye shall receive cursings, wrath, indignation, and judgments. Doctrine and Covenants 124, 33-34. Page 38. This is judicial language. It describes invalidation of ordinances and the imposition of covenant penalties. The text leaves no interpretive escape hatch in which neglect produces inconvenience but not consequence. The structure is binary: obedience or rejection. Modern readers often recoil from the starkness of such language. Yet the Bible repeatedly affirms the same logic. Page 39. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life. Deuteronomy 30:19. Covenant relationship is always framed as decision. The people stand under terms. Heaven stands under promise. The treaty binds both. This chapter establishes the interpretive rule that governs the rest of this book. Page 40. The revelation must be measured by its own legal claims. It cannot be redefined after the fact to protect institutional continuity or emotional comfort. If the text declares a condition, that condition is subject to evaluation. If it declares a consequence, that consequence must be considered historically. The covenant itself authorizes judgment. Page 41. The reader is not imposing scrutiny on the text. The text imposes scrutiny on history. The revelation does not merely promise blessing. It places the saints under probation. It creates a moment in which divine action depends on human compliance. The house must exist before the Most High can come. Page 42. The restoration depends on the condition. The appointment establishes the deadline. The rejection clause enforces the verdict. Everything that follows in this book flows from a single premise. Covenant language is measurable. If Scripture binds heaven and earth through treaty structure, then history becomes the courtroom in which the treaty is examined. Page 43. This is not hostility toward faith. It is fidelity to the grammar of revelation. The covenant speaks in legal terms. The people stood under appointment. The promise waited on obedience. The warning stood written. The text itself demands to be read as contract, not metaphor. Page 44. And once it is read that way, the question of fulfillment becomes unavoidable. The covenant has terms. And terms require judgment.